In the last episode, the Gibeonites deceived Israel with moldy bread and worn sandals. Israel made a treaty without consulting the Lord. When 5 Amorite kings attacked Gibeon, Joshua marched all night and defeated them. The Lord hurled hailstones from heaven. The sun stood still over Gibeon. The southern campaign swept through Canaan, and city after city fell. Now the kings of the north hear what has happened, and they gather for war. When Jabin, king of Hazor, hears of these things, he sends word to Jobab, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Akshaph, and to the northern kings in the mountains, in the Arabah south of Kinnereth, in the western foothills, and in Naphoth Dor on the west. He sends to the Canaanites in the east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites below Hermon in the region of Mizpah. They come out with all their troops, a huge army, as numerous as the sand on the seashore, with a great number of horses and chariots. All these kings join forces. They make camp together at the Waters of Merom to fight against Israel. This is the largest army Israel has faced. The northern coalition has gathered everything. The Lord speaks to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, because by this time tomorrow I will hand all of them, slain, over to Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." Joshua and his whole army march against them. They come against them suddenly at the Waters of Merom and attack them. The Lord gives them into the hand of Israel. Israel defeats them. They pursue them to Greater Sidon, to Mizraphoth-Maim, and to the valley of Mizpah on the east. They strike them down, leaving no survivors. Joshua does to them as the Lord had directed. He hamstrings their horses and burns their chariots. At that time, Joshua turns back and captures Hazor. He puts its king to the sword. Hazor was the head of all those kingdoms. They put everyone in it to the sword. They totally destroy them. Not a breath is left. They burn Hazor itself. Joshua takes all these royal cities and their kings. He puts them to the sword. He totally destroys them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. Yet Israel does not burn any of the cities built on their mounds, except Hazor, which Joshua burns. The Israelites carry off all the plunder and livestock of these cities, but all the people they put to the sword until they have destroyed them. They leave no one breathing. As the Lord commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did it. He leaves nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. Joshua takes the entire land, the hill country, the whole region of the Negev, the whole region of Goshen, the western foothills, the Arabah, and the mountains of Israel with their foothills. From Mount Halak, which rises toward Seir, to Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon below Mount Hermon. He captures all their kings and puts them to death. Joshua wages war against all these kings for a long time. Except for the Hivites living in Gibeon, no city makes a treaty of peace with the Israelites. Every other city is taken in battle. For it is the Lord himself who hardens their hearts to wage war against Israel, so that he might destroy them totally, exterminating them without mercy, as the Lord commanded Moses. These nations had centuries to turn from their ways. They saw the plagues on Egypt. They heard of the Jordan crossing. Yet they chose war, and now the window of mercy closes. At that time, Joshua goes and destroys the Anakites from the hill country, from Hebron, Debir, Anab, from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua totally destroys them and their towns. No Anakites are left in Israelite territory. Only in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod do any survive. The giants who made Israel tremble at Kadesh Barnea 40 years ago have now been driven out. What the fathers feared, the children conquer. So Joshua takes the entire land. just as the Lord has directed Moses. And Joshua gives it as an inheritance to Israel according to their tribal divisions. Then the land has rest from war. The list of conquered kings stretches long, 31 kings in all. The king of Jericho, the king of Ai, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makkedah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tappuah, the king of Aphek, the king of Lesharon, the king of Madon, the king of Hazor, the king of Shimron Meron, the king of Akshaph, the king of Taanach, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kedesh, the king of Yachnaim in Carmel, the king of Dor, the king of Goyim in Gilgal, the king of Tirzah, 31 kings. The conquest is complete. Now comes the division. When Joshua is old and well advanced in years, the Lord speaks to him. You are now very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over. The unconquered lands include all the regions of the Philistines and Geshurites, from the Shihor River on the east of Egypt to the territory of Ekron on the north. There are also the 5 Philistine rulers in Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. To the north lie the lands of the Gebalites and all Lebanon to the east, from Baal-Gad below Mount Hermon to Labo-Hamath. The Lord declares, I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. Be sure to allocate this land to Israel for an inheritance, as I have instructed you. Divide it as an inheritance among the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The other half of Manasseh, along with Reuben and Gad, have already received the inheritance Moses gave them east of the Jordan. The division begins at Gilgal. Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, comes forward with the men of Judah. He speaks to Joshua. You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. I brought him back a report according to my convictions. My fellow Israelites who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt in fear. But I followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day Moses swore to me, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years, since the time he said this to Moses, while Israel moved about in the wilderness. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I am just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there, and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out, just as he said. Joshua blesses Caleb. He gives him Hebron as his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, ever since, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, wholeheartedly. Caleb drives out the 3 Anakites from there. Judah receives its inheritance by lot. The territory stretches from the boundary of Edom in the desert of Zin in the south to the northernmost point. It includes the hill country, the western foothills, the Negev, and cities without number. But Judah cannot dislodge the Jebusites living in Jerusalem. To this day the Jebusites live there with the people of Judah. The allotment for the tribe of Joseph comes next, for Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim receives territory in the central highlands, but they do not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor. The tribe of Manasseh receives land on both sides of the Jordan, but Manasseh cannot occupy these towns, because the Canaanites persist in living in that region. When the Israelites grow stronger, they subject the Canaanites to forced labor, but do not drive them out completely. These failures will not remain small. The nations that remain will become thorns. The gods they worship will become snares. What Israel does not finish now, their children will struggle against for generations. The people of Joseph speak to Joshua. Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly. Joshua answers, If you are so numerous, and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves there, in the land of the Perizzites and Rephaites. The people of Joseph reply, The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the plain have chariots fitted with iron, both those in Bethshan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel. Joshua speaks to the tribes of Joseph. You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one allotment, but also the forested hill country. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have chariots fitted with iron, and though